All right, hello once again. This is Jeff Scott of Rankin Technical College, and I'm going over some of the material for our class AWD 1000 Web Technologies. I've gone over a lot of stuff for HTML5. I've gone over a lot of stuff for CSS3. I've gone over a lot of stuff for JavaScript. I've even gone over examples for jQuery. And now it's time to go to Bootstrap. I did a preliminary lecture where we looked at it, but now let's actually get into it in some more depth and breadth of coverage. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come right here, there's the logo, and I'm going to click Download Bootstrap. Again, the current version is version 4.0.0 Alpha 6. So when I click that, I can download this in different ways. I can use NuGet, Bower, Composer, Ruby Gems, NPM, Packet Managers. I can use the CDN, or I can download the source files, or I can just download Bootstrap, CSS, and JS. All right, so these are all the different ways that I can do this. Okay, I'm going to choose for now, download Bootstrap. Okay, just to show you, I'm going to show you the download Bootstrap, and I'm going to show you the Bootstrap CDN. All right, that's all I'm going to go through. So here's the download Bootstrap. Let me copy this. In fact, let me cut it from here. It's in my downloads folder. And I'm going to copy it right into my desktop. Okay, so I'll just copy it out here, or paste it, I guess, into here. There it is. But let's even do this. Let's create another folder. New folder. We'll just call it Bootstrap. Make it simple. There it is. All right, now I'm going to take this Bootstrap disk that we just did, and I'm going to throw it into the Bootstrap folder. I'm going to extract it into there and let it build its stuff itself. Then it's done. Now, I really don't need this zip version anymore, so I'm just going to move it into my trash. All right, so this is what I've got in here now. I just want to show you the stuff that you get. Okay, you get a CSS folder and you get a JS folder. All right, I'm going to literally grab my CSS folder and my JS folder, and I'm going to cut them for now, and I'm going to put them right under my Bootstrap. So I don't want to worry about this dist stuff in here. I could have just renamed this folder too. I guess that would have been probably just as easy. But, okay, so there's nothing in there now. So I've got a folder called Bootstrap, and my Bootstrap folder has two folders in it. One that's called CSS and one that's called JS. In CSS, there's a lot of stuff in here. There's a bootstrap.css, a bootstrap.css.map, a bootstrap.min.css, a min.css.map, a grid, etc. Well, for now, we're just starting out with this, so I only want you to use the ones that are actually going to be necessary, which means we can get rid of the whole thing, and all we're going to keep is just bootstrap.min.css. That's the only file we're going to keep. That's it. Okay? And then we're going to go to JS, and these are the same file, but this is the minified version, and that's all I'm going to use. So I went from downloading that to just having one minified JavaScript file and one minified CSS file. And that's good. That's all I wanted. All right? If I did not want to do that, if I didn't want to bring in those files, they're not big files, 148K and 46K. But if for some reason I didn't even want to bring those in, then I could come over here to where it says Bootstrap CDN. I'm going to copy that to my clipboard, and I want to just show you the file. Let me open up a new file, and there it is. It's like, what the heck is that, Jeff? Well, we can make this a lot smaller, but it's got the CDNs in here. Notice Bootstrap min CDS, CC, I don't know, min CSS. The rest of the stuff, this is all a bunch of security stuff that they put in there for you automatically. Some sites will say, oh, keep all that stuff and don't get rid of it, and other ones will say, don't worry about it. Well, I'm not going to worry about it for now. All right? And the other thing says then to grab this one, and again, there's more security stuff in here. All right, so why did I show you that? Because what we loaded in with that first load that we did were these files. We've got the Bootstrap min CSS, and we've got the Bootstrap, come on, Jeff, the Bootstrap min CSS and the Bootstrap min JS. But now we're hosting them from what's called a CDN, or a content delivery network, which means you need to have the internet, whereas where we had them, we didn't need to have the internet, but we're letting those files be hosted by another site. So we don't have to worry about where they are. We should always get the latest and greatest if we grab them from here. Now, again, is that important a thing? No, but for completeness sake, what I am trying to show you here are at least two different ways of grabbing that information. All right? Okay, that said, let's go back to our Get Bootstrap site. And I'm going to get off the getting started here, because these are other ways that you can download this stuff. You can read those on your own if you have an interest. I'm going to go back to the introduction. This is where I was to begin with. This is where I was, okay? And those are all the install methods and more download options. So if you want more information, you can get them about that. There's the CDN there too. I guess I didn't even notice it was there. All right. They talk about themes. They talk about some other stuff. This is going to push you off to some Bootstrap sites. All right. expo.getbootstrap.com, etc. That I wouldn't really take a look at until you've looked at this a little bit. All right, so I'm going to go to the documentation. This is where the magic of Bootstrap lies, in that they have terrific documentation. All right, I'm going to go to the starter template. You can read all this on your own. I just don't want to do that. I'm going to grab their whole starter template here. I'm going to copy it to the clipboard. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to start up a brand new file. I'm going to paste in that template, and I'm going to save this to my Bootstrap folder that's on the desktop, and it's on here someplace. There it is. All right, and I'm going to go and save that right there as index.html. Okay, now it isn't grand, it isn't glorious, it really and truly isn't much of anything, because if you notice in here, all that's in our body is our hello world, which is an H1 tag, and then we're loading in here. There's our Bootstrap file, and there's some other files that you may end up needing. All right, this is jQuery, which you probably will need. This is a file called tether. I don't want to get into that right now. All right, here is our Bootstrap min CSS file. And this basically says we want what we're working on to be what's referred to as responsive, which we'll get into in a little bit. Okay? All right. Let's suppose for just a second, all right, so let's pretend, for lack of better words, we want our own stuff in here. Okay? So I'm not going to care about tether right now. I'm just going to forget that exists. But I don't want to use their jQuery file. I don't want to use their Bootstrap min JS file. So I'm not going to. I'm going to get rid of both of those, and I'm going to get rid of the bootstrap.min.css file. All right? So why did I do that? To show you, yet, like I said, another way of doing this. I'm going to go out to jQuery.com, and I'm going to click the button to download the newest version of jQuery. I'm going to download the compressed version, which is again going to throw it into my downloads folder. I'm going to cut it from there. I am going to put it into my Bootstrap folder that I just showed you. All right, and I'll put it right into my JavaScript, but I'm going to paste it in there. And that's kind of a long name, so I'm just going to call it jQuery.js. All right. In fact, this one we'll leave as bootstrap.min. And maybe to be safe, I'll just keep this as jQuery.min.js. All right. So I now have jQuery.min.js in here, and I have bootstrap.min.js, and I also have bootstrap.min.css. All right. So now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to add the CSS file. So link rel equal style sheet href equals CSS slash bootstrap.min.js. Okay? All right. I'm also going to go in and I'm going to add my own. I'm going to go in and I'm going to add my own CSS file, which I haven't created yet. I'm just going to call it style. And that should have been bootstrap.min.css. And that should be a CSS file. All right. So I'm very quickly, so let's double check and make sure that it's in my CSS folder, and let's make sure it's called bootstrap.min.css. All right. It's in my CSS folder, and it's called bootstrap.min.css. I'm going to quickly take this, copy it, paste it. This will now be style.css. I'm going to open it. I'm going to clear out everything that's in it, literally. And all I'm going to say, just to see if this file works, is remember I've got an h1 tag in there, and that h1 tag says hello world. All right. So right now, if I were to run my index file, this one, if I were to run this right now, let's save this and run it, all I have is an h1 tag that says hello world. So I want to go in here into my CSS file to see if it works, and I'm going to say color red. Why? Because if this turns red, it's recognizing my file, so I pathed them correctly. That's good. So that's a good start, right? Okay, so I've got that done. We're going to get rid of that tag in just a minute anyway, so don't worry about it. All right, so let's see. The next thing I'm going to do is under JS, I've got these two files, so I want to add these two. It's of paramount importance. You must add the jQuery file before you add the bootstrap.min.js file, because the bootstrap.min.js file relies on your jQuery file. So that has to be put in there first. So I'm going to come back into my index. All right, and right here where it says jQuery first, then tether, I'm going to just change it to jQuery first, then bootstrap. So now it's script source equals js slash jQuery.min.js script, and script source equal js, and what was that, bootstrap min.js? So I got jQuery min.js and bootstrap min.js. And I'm taking for granted that I put those in there correctly. All right? So right now, this is all I have. Okay? This is not going to convince any of you to use this product, and I understand that. But I'm going to start doing a few magical things, or what I think are a few magical things, very quickly, where I think that you're going to like this product. I could be wrong. All right? So we're going to put a bunch of stuff in here in just a second. First thing I want to do is I want to remove hello world. But you notice when I remove hello world and I run this again, now there's nothing there at all. That's why I wanted to leave the hello world in when we started, just so that you could be sure we had something in there. All right? So what I've shown you so far is how to go in 2 different ways to download Bootstrap. All right? One was a direct download where we grabbed the CSS and the JavaScript. Then I went in, after I did that, I took that dist folder and basically, unzipped it and put everything that was in there into just a Bootstrap folder, cleared out everything from the JS folder except for bootstrap.min.js. Cleared out everything from the CSS folder except the bootstrap.min.css file. Then went out to jQuery.com and added the compressed version of jQuery. All right. Then went out to the beginning documentation and just grabbed the getting started file. So that's what I've done thus far. Doesn't sound like much, and it may not seem like we're doing a whole heck of a lot. Bear with me, because I'm coming back with part 3 in just a minute.